this people pleasing thing is actually backfiring on me,
Yeah.
especially in my marriage, right? So it's like, yeah, what do you want to know? What do you want to do? And it ended up being that my wife felt like so much of the burden of decisions was on her plate.
Yeah.
And she's like, I feel like you're not part of this marriage because you're not giving me your opinion. You're not telling
Taking
me
agency.
You're not taking agency. Dale,
David.
welcome back to the bar.
Yes, we're back at the bar.
Really enjoyed having Gene fought with us last week.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was a good change of pace. I was really grateful to have him on, just to hear his story. And I'm sure it's not the last time that he'll be with us, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and we have a few other guests that are now scheduled to come on as well. So that should be exciting.
it kind of opened the floodgates a little bit. So that's kind of neat. And I think those will be some cool conversations in the future too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, we talked about grief last week, which was a pretty heavy topic.
Yeah.
So,
and by no means like it wasn't all encompassed.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Still way more to be able to get into there, but it was definitely a really good start.
Yeah. So we thought to maybe make things a little lighter today. Who knows? They might still get heavy.
Yeah, I mean, probably, right?
Like, you're a therapist, after all,
right? Yeah.
So we thought.
If somebody's not crying with it, it's actually something's wrong.
Yeah, you're like, are we doing our jobs? People pleasing. People pleasing. And I'm very curious to hear from you how that like manifests in your life, because when I first like got to know you, the stories that I heard, like either from like your wife or other people, was like you being in grad school and like challenging your professors, and like I was like, man, this dude probably doesn't have an ounce of people pleasing in him.
Yeah, no, actually a lot.
I was like, man, this guy, like the courage. I was like,
no, yeah,
I wish I had that courage.
I think it's there, David. I believe in you. I think that's interesting, because I think for me, I actually have dealt with that a lot. I think it just manifests differently. But yeah, as far as like graduate school, I think that was a point in my life in which I was trying to, I don't know if we'd say like make up for lost time. It was interesting because I had a conversation with a good friend recently, and we were talking about like just some of the changes that have gone on in our lives in the last 15 years. And it was interesting because, and this is somebody that's known me since high school, but in high school I was the, I guess you might say like the epitome of a people pleaser, or I was that guy that would always say sorry for everything.
Oh,
like,
you apologize for
I'd apologize for
stuff
everything.
You don't need to apologize
stuff
for.
I don't need to apologize, and stuff I didn't even do. Stuff that had nothing to do with me. And it wasn't just like a sorry, it's like a empathetic sorry. It was like, oh no, I'm sorry, did I do this? Like, you know, like,
yeah, am I the cause of this as well? Yeah.
It was, I had a task force dean at the time that was just like, stop saying sorry. Like, you are not allowed to apologize.
Wow.
So, I mean, it was totally appropriate, but it was definitely one of those things that existed within me. And I think it was inadvertently for me, it came from a place of just wanting so badly to be accepted by people and not rejected by people. So it was like a manifestation of doing whatever I could to be accepted and to be appreciated. And so I think that's really where that started for me. And it was interesting because I would like, on a similar note and vein, it's like, I think, yeah, no, I mean, it was just a point in my life in which I would take things on that weren't mine, or try to take things on that I would have no need to, or I would go way above and beyond what was necessary just to try to satiate somebody's perceived desire. Right. And it would be like way over the top. Right. But just because I wanted people to be happy with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so for example, saying sorry kind of, you thought accomplished that.
Those were like the micro adjustments to make towards that end. I remember like my sophomore year in high school, I wanted my friends to accept me so badly. I spent like $250 getting and this was like, hey, 17, 20 years ago, like when that was a lot of money. And I bought like food for all the guys on my hall. And this was like a boarding school, right? And I didn't have money, like just because I went to a
$250.
Yeah, I didn't have money. So just clarify, like I was at a boarding school, but like I didn't have money, and so like I spent that money to get these guys food because like, hey, I figured, hey, people would like me if I bought them food, and yeah, people were like, oh, cool, yeah, thanks, but like didn't make people like me anymore. It was just like it was so
they used you.
Yeah, it was so misguided and desperate. And that's definitely a place that I remember that starting. But in any case, circling back to this friend and I, this conversation we had, it was interesting because I feel like over the years I became much less concerned with that, to the point, obviously, we fast forward to when I'm in graduate school, that in certain moments I just don't care. And to a fault, like not a good point, right? Like it's like
you swang the other way.
Yeah, swaying the other way, and I had to reel that in and recognize that no, like there's a point here when it's okay to care a little bit, like we don't need to intentionally try to hurt someone.
yeah.
And so it definitely had to, in some ways, and I think as people, like when we're trying to reinvent or create new parts of ourselves, we often do that. Like we'll go in such a direction, in such a prominent direction away from the thing that we don't desire, that oftentimes we go over the top.
Yes. And
that can be hard. At least it was for me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So that's a blurb.
Yeah. How do you feel like? So do you feel like people pleasing manifests presently in any way for you?
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah, no, yeah. I definitely.
But not in that extreme way, obviously.
No.
Like of like, oh, I'm sorry for everything.
No.
Buying things for your friends too.
Yeah. No. Yeah, no. I think it's something that I catch myself in, like an emotional response. Like I'll experience like a thought in my mind of, oh, should I do this for this person, or what will this person think if A, B, C, or D? And so there's a lot of thoughts around, oh, should I do this? What if they think that or this?
Yeah.
Or this of me or that of me, or what if they don't think that I, you fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that becomes a problem, because ultimately it's funny that we have the term people pleasing. Because I find that to be kind of indirect.
The term people pleasing?
Yeah, because it's really not about pleasing other people, actually. Right?
So, what do you mean?
Well, in the sense that like my people pleasing or my desire to please other people isn't really for other people, actually. It's not altruistic, at least in my case. It's for me, actually. It's actually very selfish, right? In the sense that like I want other people to accept me. Right, like it's not.
The goal is
it's not entirely
you to feel accepted.
Yeah, and it's for me to feel better.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah,
people pleasing is a means to an end.
Yeah, it's not 100% altruistic. And yeah, maybe there's moments where it's like, yeah, I don't want to hurt people. I want people to know that I care about them. Sure, like I'm not trying to, denigrate myself, but I think that I have to be aware that like, no, it's not. That's not 100% altruistic, and like. At the end of the day, like, what's it really about?
Yeah, no, that's 100% true.
Okay.
And I like in the sense that I'm a recovering people pleaser. I feel like I was if you put ingredients of people pleasing in a pot, like in my life, that's just like it's a perfect recipe to create a people pleaser for me.
Nice.
So yeah, in the sense that so I grew up as a third culture kid.
What does that mean? I'd never
So-
heard that term before you used it.
Before I use it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ever.
so it's this idea of someone who grows up in a culture like that's other than their parents.
Okay.
But it's it's really hard to. So how do I describe? At least let me describe it for myself. Right.
Okay.
So I grew up in several countries in East and Southern Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I'm Kenyan, but I'm growing up in all these other countries that are not Kenya.
Like which ones?
It's like Uganda, Rwanda, and Swaziland, which is now Eswatini. And so, but I'm
when did that happen? When did that? When did
just throughout like my whole 18 years. My 18
Yeah.
years of life before I came to the States. And so I tell people that, and then they're like, "Yeah, but your accent, you sound like American. Like, you grew up in Africa, but you sound American." And so
You don't sound American.
a lot of people think I do, but you're good at noticing accents.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess so.
But a lot of people are like, you grew up in Africa? How come you? Because they meet other Africans and they're like, you don't sound like them.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
They're like fresh off the boat.
Yeah,
Like there's a difference.
Exactly. So they're like, what's up, man? So, but the thing is, I can sound like that because I code switch.
Yeah.
Like when I'm with my parents.
Code switch.
Yeah, right. That's like I just I don't even notice it. I'm just talking like my parents. And when I'm talking to another Kenyan, it's different, right? So like in my home, I'm living in a Kenyan home where it's like Kenyan culture and everything. But then even though I'm living in these other African countries, I was attending international schools.
Okay, so it's like a
that's like a
pot.
little bubble within this, you know what I mean? So the teachers were mostly like either British or American,
Okay.
and the students were from everywhere. So I had friends from Netherlands, Colombia, South America,
And this is in
Asia,
Kenya when you're in school?
in all these countries.
Okay,
In
like
all these countries, like
okay.
yeah.
That's a lot of diversity.
Yes. So, but the thing is, in the mornings, evenings, I'm at home with my Kenyan parents. In the during the day, I'm at school with my international friends and my American/British teachers, right? And then on the weekends, like we'd go to church, and so I'm with these other like Ugandans, or I'm with these,
Gotcha.
right? And then it's not only just like the exposure to different like ethnic cultures, but it's also the context, right? So like on the weekends, I'm with this religious folk.
Yeah.
And so I have to act a certain way, behave a certain way. And then during the weekday, it's not like I was attending like a Christian school.
Sure.
I was attending just a secular, normal international school. So I'm like behaving like, trying to fit in with my friends. And then at home, I'm trying to be Kenyan, so like my parents. So like I became a chameleon, just naturally, so I could just belong and navigate each context.
Yeah.
And so I just became what I needed to be for each context. Right.
Yeah.
And so it was very weird for me, and it still is very weird, where all those three contexts collided. Right. Because like who do I be now? You know what I'm saying? Because I have to be who I need to be so that I can be accepted, like you said, by whoever I'm around.
Sure.
Right. And so to add to that as well, I come from a family where at least on my dad's side, when they get angry, they're angry. So there's like just temper. Like my dad's probably the most chill, but just like yeah, there's what they call the Baruchara rage, essentially, right? So it's like anger was a huge emotion, and like the way I responded to that was again like learning how to manage people's emotions so they wouldn't be angry at me.
Yeah.
And so that was also in school. That was everywhere I went. So for me, people pleasing was not just getting people to accept me. It was learning how to ensure people are always happy around me and that I'm not the cause of their displeasure.
Yeah.
And so I think at some point I realized like I don't even care if you don't like me. I just want you to be happy in my presence. I don't want to experience your anger.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even really have to like me. You don't have to you don't share your opinion about me. Just be happy around me.
Yeah.
Because when you get angry, then that's to me indicates that I'm somehow a bad person. Like my character, like how could I create such displeasure in someone else?
Yeah.
And so like fearing that emotion,
Yeah.
learn to like, okay, I just need to make them happy or just like not rock the boat.
So thinking in some ways everything was connected to you or about you.
Yes.
Like
yeah, in a way.
Like
in a way.
Yes. I mean that in the sense that like to say like if I think or if I feel that like, okay, I want someone to be happy in my presence, to some regard, it would stand to reason that like I feel that I can somehow control that.
Yes. However, it would be okay if someone was angry in my presence, but towards someone else.
Towards someone else.
As long as they're not angry with me.
Yeah. But like but I think in that context though, like if they're angry with you, it would also somehow implicate that, oh, like, yeah, this has to be about me.
For sure.
This can't be about them.
No.
Them being angry can't be about them.
No.
It's not their problem.
Yeah.
It's mine.
That was incomputable to me.
Yeah,
like, that never occurred to me till
I can
like
resonate with that.
recent.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. Like it was very seldom. I think it was much later for me that I recognized that. Wait, like this person's mad at me, but that's not my problem at all.
Yeah.
That's their problem.
Yeah, like that's been a very new idea for me in like the past, I don't know, like 5 years maybe. And that's also I feel like a lot of that marked my transition of careers to becoming a therapist.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, this person is mad and has nothing to do with me. Like, what?
Yeah.
But I made them angry. Like if I didn't do this or say this or act this way,
we were in charge of their emotions in some way.
Yeah. Right.
That's interesting. I feel like, so I'm circling back to like, I feel like some kids that are like, quote unquote, like bad kids actually get really good at this skill of not being people pleasers. I could be wrong, but it seems like, because what we're talking about is like, I mean, think of that little kid that's like, keeps doing something to really irritate you. Like, and you just find yourself getting madder and madder, and the kid's just like, okay, like whatever.
Yeah. Like feels nothing.
And you're infuriated.
Feels nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like, and to some degree, I just think about that, a moment like that, and to some degree, it would seem like the kid's just like, well, I can't do anything. They've already accepted they can't do anything to control the adult that's losing their mind. Like,
true. Yeah, they just came to that realization.
Yeah, but yet, like, and in some ways, maybe it's sad because maybe they've tried so hard before, and like the adult still gets mad. So it's like, well, now what can they do? They can't really do anything else, so they just feel hopeless. And that's a totally morbid way to take that. But I think perhaps, like, obviously, it sounds like you and I potentially were kids that were like, oh no, like, didn't want to rock the boat. Like, don't get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so inadvertently you end up trying to manage the emotions of others.
Right. And it's like there's people who, I guess they grow up and they play that role in the family system, right?
Oh, like, we're getting into family systems.
Yeah. Right. Of like, okay, I'm the person who I make sure people are, if there's conflict, like how can I mediate?
Firefighter.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Firefighter, peacemaker.
Yeah.
So I think I kind of play that role in many ways, but again, I just don't want to be part of it because for me it's like I need to make myself small. Because if I make myself small, then I don't then the chances of rocking the boat is very little. Which also meant like not having an opinion on stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you have an opinion, that's what creates conflict. Because somebody might disagree with your opinion. So if you just don't have one, and you're like, oh, but what do you want? Oh, no, but what do you want? No, I want to do what you want to do. Like, that's what I want to do.
Man, that seems like it. Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with what you're saying. And that works until you get married.
Yes.
Right? Or maybe like, also like if you have other friends that like, maybe that call you out on it, it's like, and then end up getting irritated because like, you never say what you actually want. But at least for me, like what happened was like, and I had this one friend, it was like, he's like, hey, yeah, where do you want to go? And like, I'd say, yeah, wherever you want to go. And then we get there and I actually didn't want to eat there. And so I didn't actually order anything to eat, or it was like, he's like, why didn't you get anything to eat? I'm just not hungry. Like I think I'm going to get a different later. And he's like, why didn't you tell me you didn't want this? Like, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't you speak up? Like,
and now they're mad at you.
Yeah,
because what you thought you were trying to avoid.
Yeah, exactly. You can't avoid it.
You can't avoid it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting because like going back to your story of how you said you'd keep saying sorry, and then like your task force dean is like, stop saying sorry.
Yeah.
And it's like he's getting mad at you.
Yeah.
The very thing you're trying to avoid.
Yeah. I can't win.
Yeah, exactly. And I think maybe that was part of the wake up call for me too, is that this people pleasing thing is actually backfiring on me, especially in my marriage. Right. So it's like, yeah, what do you want to know? What do you want to do? And it ended up being that my wife felt like so much of the burden of decisions was on her plate.
Yeah.
And she's like, I feel like you're not part of this marriage because you're not giving me your opinion. You're not telling me
agency.
You're not taking agency.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like you're actually what you think you're trying to do by helping me, you're not helping me.
I feel like this even like gets even louder once you have kids. Like there's some days my wife will come home and I'll be like, hey, what do you want me to make for dinner? Like, and the only thing she'll say is like, I cannot make one more decision today. Like, you need to make this like, and oh yeah, fine, got it. Like,
I'm on it.
We're eating this, like, and so, and so it's. I think that's definitely a thing.
Yeah, that making yourself small causes other people to, which is ironic because like when you make, also part of making myself small was also overextending myself in a way.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. In the sense of like, I can't say no.
Yeah.
Because if I say no, then that person will get disappointed. Yeah. So just say yes to everything. Yes, 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 yes. And then what happens is I over promise, under deliver.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like fumbling the ball on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And which ends up obviously making the other person disappointed because it's like, you said you do this, but you didn't. It's like, yeah, but I was just trying to. I just said yes. Like, what do you want me to do? Say no?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Say no. If you can't do it, say no.
Yeah, I think that's an area that still, oh man, I got to work on. Only because like there's so many, and I think inherently it's like perhaps the more altruistic side. It's like you see either people or situations that could use help or use support in a certain way. And so you want to be able to help. Because you feel like you could potentially, but you really can't because you really don't have time to. And there's really nothing more that you could do to try to remedy a situation for someone. But yeah, we try and then it gets worse. Right. Or at least not better for you. And so then you're overextended and then it's just not helpful. Like 100%. I still have to manage that.
Yeah. That's probably the one that, yeah, I always have to come back and be like, why did I say yes to all this?
So as a recovering people pleaser, what strategies do you feel like have helped you actually recover?
Recover?
Or is that a thing? Do you actually recover?
Ooh, what do you mean?
Well, can you actually recover from that?
Yeah.
From like, people pleasing? Presumably you're never going to
be completely
I'm in remission.
People. Like, yeah. That's true.
Like,
I'm sober.
Like I'm sober
I'm sober from people pleasing.
Like,
yeah.
It seems like what's going to be more realistic is like, okay, I manage my people pleasing.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
I'm perhaps better at taking agency and responsibility for something that I can control versus can't control. And perhaps when I want to engage or feel the sense of urgency to help someone or a situation, I do it a little bit more methodically than I did before.
Yeah. So, right. So I like that change in language, right? So it's more of managing it such that it's not the primary motivator for my behavior, actions, and decisions as much as it has been in the past, right? Maybe here and there, right? So I think it came to a head for me. Yeah. So before I go on to like how I manage it, I think it came to a head for me when I felt the consequences of people pleasing, the real consequences.
Yeah. What were those?
So
you didn't have any friends left?
Yeah.
For me, I felt like,
is that what happened to you?
Well, maybe not. No, I'd say that like I had a hard time making friends. And that's really what was part of it, because I actually didn't understand how to make friends. So like I think I would utilize those mechanisms to try to establish connections and relationships. And they were like ill-equipped to do so. Right. And
like
so
it wouldn't lead to
it wouldn't actually
friendships.
Yeah, it wouldn't lead to a real relationship or friendship with someone. And so it was always just not quite enough. Right. And so there would need to be like, because in order to have a relationship, or at least a symbiotic relationship, someone has to understand who you are and what you like and what you don't like. Right?
True.
Because otherwise they don't know. Otherwise they don't know whether they want to be involved in this.
Yeah.
Right. In this type of relationship. And if they don't know that, then they can't make a decision. Right. Otherwise they're just kind of floating. And so I think what it led to for me was like, I didn't understand how to make or establish relationships and connections with people until I started to determine more what I actually liked and what I didn't like, and what I was then able to let go of and keep within the context of my relationships. But that was about me. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah. So you realize like your friendships weren't as genuine.
Yeah.
And then you're like, something's off here.
Yeah. Like if I think about like the relationships that I had, like, and it was interesting because like through the process of high school, for example, I would say I was just kind of floating in groups and relationships like my first couple of years in high school. Right. And didn't really establish deep, meaningful connection with anyone. My last 2 years of high school, like there was like a couple people that it was like, oh no, like I was able to really, I would say, or not just a couple, like less than a handful, like, you know, probably 3-4 people that it was like, okay, I could establish relationships with these people. And I was able to clearly say what I liked and didn't like, just in terms of relationship, right? Like talking story and that types of thing, like, and enjoy my time with them and be able to describe any type of displeasure or something of that nature. And then in college, I'd say that started to grow more, but yeah, it was a totally new environment. So it also like threw me for a loop too, because it's, I think as you change environments, so does the demands on what you're used to accommodating.
Yeah. You're like,
yeah. But I would say like into adulthood like that, that's something that I've had to be more cognizant of too. In terms of, hey, like, no, like this is a good relationship. This is something I like engaging in. This is how this relationship looks and works. And I like that. And I'm okay with that. And I don't feel the need to try to keep this person around arbitrarily or try to.
So you would do that prior?
Oh, yeah.
Like just to be nice.
In my younger years, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really like this, enjoy being with this person, but like, how do I
I just didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want anyone to feel a certain way,
Yeah.
but I also it was just highly dysfunctional.
Yeah. Oh man.
And so it was, yeah. Or it might mean like, oh yeah, I maybe I should be friends with this person just arbitrarily, because even though this person is not really like a good person, they're not really going to be a great friend to me, perhaps.
Yeah.
Like they're not equipped to do that.
Yeah. So why am I considering them a friend?
Yeah.
If they can't be a friend.
Yeah. But arbitrarily, I felt beholden to that in some way.
Trapped. It kind of feels trapped. I feel trapped. That used to happen to me a lot as a kid, where you know how in class or in PE they're like, pick a partner. And so I wouldn't pick, but there would be some certain individuals who'd like be like, David, I want to be with you. And I'm like, I do not want to be with you. Like, this is like the worst partner. And I just felt that like I can't say no if I don't want to be with this person. And I just felt stuck and trapped.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do here?
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for me, like I started to observe a recurring pattern in my life, particularly when I was married, where because I'm a people pleaser at work, I must please my boss. Right?
No, you don't.
No, you're like nothing like the bosses I've had.
Okay.
Let me just put it that way. Let me just put it that way. Yeah, let me leave it at that.
Okay.
But I've had some tough bosses. If you listen to this, bosses, God bless you. But
God bless you.
I didn't. My people pleasing was not ready for your style of management. So yeah, so I would overstretch myself just because like these supervisors were just very demanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in the sense of like they overworked. They would admit it. Like they overwork, but they're okay with it. Like they're fine with it.
Yeah.
Versus I'm overworking because I feel like if I don't, you're gonna be mad at me.
Yeah.
So I would take on projects and tasks and just like overstretch myself, which would then lead me to not fulfill my responsibilities at home.
Yeah.
Right. So like things my wife maybe asked me to do, expects me to do, not doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So basically you realize very quickly that by trying to people please, someone is disappointed.
Yeah.
Someone is not being pleased. Like boss is being pleased, wife is mad.
Yeah.
Or both are mad because like I'm overworked, so I'm not delivering the quality that I should be. And it's like, and so what happens is that your people pleasing becomes meaningless.
Yeah.
Right. And not only that is like you have certain values. I have certain values that I hold to, but I'm not living by those values because people pleasing is like the top value.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And so that's even more meaninglessness because this value that I've put above my other values is not even getting me the result I thought it would get. And you know, Viktor Frankl's quote, what happens when someone has a deeply meaningless life, they distract themselves with pleasure.
Sure.
And so obviously because I'm people pleasing, I'm now finding unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Sure.
To manage all of this chaos.
Sure.
And for me, that was like porn. And then of course that now created a whole set of problems.
Sure.
In my relationship, right? Yeah. So that's when it came to a head, right? And like we'll have an episode on like porn addiction. But like for me, that's when I realized that like, oh, this problematic behavior is just a symptom of a life that is chaotic and not grounded in anything.
Yeah.
It's just I'm just people pleasing.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's when I was like, okay, this is not working. And coming to a point where it's like, if I'm simply gonna keep people pleasing for the sake of what? So that I can be accepted, so that I can feel loved, so I can feel right. Yet it's like chasing the dragon. It's like this empty hole that is never filled. So having to realize that this is not, people pleasing is not going to give you what you think it's going to give you. Something else has to, right? And so just like having to completely reorient where I found my sense of meaning and acceptance, right? And so like, obviously for me, my faith was played a big role in that.
Sure.
And I've always been a person of faith, but I'd never, my Christianity had never touched that part. Like, if that makes sense. I almost like justified people pleasing because of Christianity, because it's like, yeah, but we're supposed to serve others.
No, I mean, I get that. I think that's actually really common though. I feel like I see a lot of people that either claim Christianity or some religious orientation that it seems to
it's a righteous cause.
Yeah, it seems to be a righteous cause, and it fits well because they already have this disposition.
Yeah.
And
right.
Hey, good, but at the same time, like highly problematic.
Yes. Exactly. Right. And so like one of the things I had to realize is that even Jesus was not liked by everyone.
No.
So I'm like, this dude who has, we believe
he was perfect. It's not just that he wasn't liked by everyone.
Right.
He was hated
and killed.
Yeah. He was like.
So I'm like, so David, who are you? Who are you to try to people please when Jesus himself, that wasn't even his thing? Like, what right do you think? Who do you think you are?
That's a really interesting point, because I think that's something that's he actually did the furthest thing from it. He clearly stated what he wanted and what he didn't want.
Yes.
And what his intentions were with people. It was very upfront.
Very upfront.
The only times in which he wasn't upfront, it would seem, is when people wanted to know what he had for them, perhaps, or what they could get, or about their agendas. And it's like, he's like, wait a second, you're missing the point, right? In a matter of speaking.
Yeah.
But as far as his intentions for them, right, or what he wanted, it seems that no, by and large, in the course of his life, he was pretty upfront.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
He was pretty direct. He said things. People didn't always hear them, right? But he said them.
Yeah. Right. And he was willing to risk. So like one of the things I think back to is when he says like, you'll need to eat my blood and my body, right? Like he uses language.
Sure.
That his disciples are like, wait, what?
What are you talking about?
You're talking about cannibalism? Or what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so like, this is a hard saying, And so he's like, okay. He's like, do you want to leave? You can
go.
Yeah, you can go if you want. I'm not going to change what I said.
Yeah.
So it's like that freedom of like, I think it's for your benefit to listen to me. But if this is too much for you,
yeah,
this disappoints you, you
door.
have that free will. You can leave. And I'm just like, dang, I want that. I want that, right? And so I think that was like helpful for me. And then like, obviously later on, Paul, who's like, writes majority of the New Testament, he has this thing where he says like, I am free from all men. Yet I have made myself a slave to all.
Yeah.
So that I can win people for Christ. And so that was like a very interesting parallel where he's like, even if I do serve and adjust myself to help other people and to serve, like it's not because I need their approval. It's like I'm free. I don't need your approval. Yeah. But I'm doing this for your sake, not for mine. Yeah. And so it's like reorienting that. And so I think that's from just like a mental shift for me.
Yeah.
Has helped. And then there's like practical stuff like, saying no before you say, like, don't say yes immediately. Like when people ask me stuff, I'm like, let me think about it.
That was I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a great fail stop for me. Was, I'll need to think about that. Like just having a word, like having a phrase that I could utilize when people ask me something on the spot, like just being able to pause my impulse to be like, sure.
Okay.
Right. And so I think that was a really good tool to be able to utilize and has been. What are some other ones for you though?
Yeah. So on that one as well, before I go to the other ones. So I ended up using that tool in a people pleasing way. Nice. So what I would do was be like, let me talk to my wife. Or like I would use my wife as an excuse, especially when I first got married. I'd be like, oh man, now I can use my wife as an excuse to say no. I don't have to like take responsibility for that. And then I had to realize like, this is not, no, it's dishonest, but it's not fair on her. Yeah. Right. So I'm like, Dave, you need to take responsibility for saying no. So I just felt, but then it's just like, hey, okay, give me a minute. I'll think about it. Yeah. But then even when I say no, it's not like, oh, my wife, my wife has this thing. So it's like, no, unfortunately, I can't make it. Like that's it.
That's it.
Like I don't have to over explain myself, because which is another thing people pleasing is like you feel like you have to
give them all the
perfect
details
words and the perfect explanation, and it's like if you have to say it just right, it's like no. It's like no.
I think one of the things that really helped me with understanding some of those parallels was when I realized that not everyone was on my list. Right. And so I stole this from, and I don't know if Brene Brown stole it from someone else too, but this idea, and I can't remember whether we've talked about it before or not, but essentially it's called like a 1 inch by 1 inch exercise, in which you tear off a piece of paper that's like approximately 1 inch by 1 inch in diameter, basically just a small piece of paper, and it's small for a reason. And you write a list of the names of people whose opinions matter. Right? People who, okay, maybe you do want to try to please them intentionally. Like, hey, you do want to do things for them to a point.
Yeah.
But if somebody's name is not on that list, then they don't deserve that much energy. And not everyone's name can be on that list. And that was a very powerful tool for me.
Interesting.
Because if I found myself trying to provide something to somebody whose name was not on that list, I was working in vain and to pointlessness. And in some ways, once I accepted that, hey, wait a second, like I feel the need to try to, but this person isn't on my list, and I'm likely not on theirs.
Oof.
And that's okay.
Yeah. That's okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right. And so it caused me to really think carefully about the people in my life that, hey, if I do want to please people, like if I do want to try to do something nice for people, it doesn't have to be everyone. Right? There are people that I can care about and pour into that it doesn't have to be everybody. And arguably, I'll feel more fulfilled because I'm not trying to extend myself everywhere. It's only within specific areas.
Yeah. And that's interesting too about like the people whose opinions you care about.
Yeah.
It's usually aligned with the fact that maybe because you care about their opinions, or you care about their opinions because their opinions reflect values you want to live by.
100%. 100%. And if they don't, then you reevaluate that list. And sometimes people go on that list and people come off the list, right? Like it's your list. Somebody didn't make it for you. You made it for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so it's like over the last, I guess it's been about close to 10 years, I've had a list in my pocket right? That I carry around in my wallet. It's like,
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. Dead serious.
Like it's
written down. It's written down. It's in my wallet right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I love that. Because
I think it helps me when I write it down and I put it in my wallet. I carry it with me so I can reflect on it every once in a while. And it's not like I have it in text form on my phone. It's like, no, I write it down, right? And for a while, it was an active exercise that I did because I'd find myself getting preoccupied with people's opinions of me and how I was doing or what I was doing. And so I'd have to remind myself very carefully, all right, like, whose opinions matter here? I'm just going to try to work to this end. That's it. Nothing more.
Yeah. And related to like the writing down piece, I think for me, that's also helpful in the sense of like, I've had to learn to separate from attaching my character and sense of worth from people's emotions.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because it is. I mean, I still like when people get mad at me. It's hard. Like I'm just like, man. Like, did I do something? Like, what did I do to make them mad? Right. And so, having to just like sit down and just like write. Okay, like what happened? Like, what why did I make the right decision? Would I respond that way if somebody said that to me, right? It's like maybe I'd be mad, but it's like, but that was the right decision. So it's okay to be mad, and it was the right decision.
Yeah, exactly.
So they can be mad.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to change anything about.
And I think that's a really important distinction because I think sometimes as children we inadvertently learn these things from parents or caregivers that it's like, oh, like we don't want our parents to be mad at us because we take it as a reflection of our worth or value. And I think for me as a child, there was definitely some dysfunction. I'll share that on another episode for my own family unit and system that I learned some really maladaptive behaviors and habits. And one of those was, it's not okay for them to be mad at me, or like if they are, it's reflected in my worth or value.
Yep.
And so I didn't learn how to have people be mad at me. Because I think for a child, it's important that they understand, hey, someone can be upset with something that I did, but they still love me.
Yes.
Deeply. And I can make better choices. Right? My choices don't reflect my worth or value.
Right.
Right. And now, granted, perhaps sometimes they do, like when those continue, but as a child, like, no, I'm learning.
You're learning.
And I'm making mistakes here, and they can be upset that I made mistakes, and I can still be highly loved.
Yes.
Right. And I think that's a very important distinction that I didn't connect the dots for. And it's interesting, like, even with my own children now, it's like they'll do something wrong or like, their parents, I'll get upset. And the conversation we have, it's like, hey, no, sweetie, I love you, right? So much. But I didn't really like that decision. So we can do better to make better decisions. That's okay. But I love you. And so like in certain moments, it's like seeing that switch, like, okay, like we're still okay. The connection is still solid, but I can make better choices. I think it's a very, now, hey, 10 years down the road, maybe they tell me, why did you hate it?
I know, right?
I pray that's not the response.
Like my therapist told me you are abusive, Dad. Oh my goodness.
But in any case, though, I think those are important distinctions to make and important skills to have. And I think it's important to be able to learn how to have people be upset with you and that not be reflected in your internal value.
And I think related to that as well is you being okay with being upset.
100%.
Because I think people pleasing, at least for me, like I had a very complicated relationship with anger in myself too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I shouldn't be angry, or what would happen is like I'm only angry if I'm pushed to the extreme wall, and then it comes out in ways that is completely unmanaged. So this kind of what you said of like swinging to the opposite spectrum, where it's like, okay, I'm done people pleasing.
Yeah.
I'm like asserting myself, but like in the worst way possible, like super hurtful, super. And so it's like, no, it's like you don't have to wait to be pushed to this, the complete extreme to now have uncontrolled anger.
Yeah.
It's like anger can exist
Sure.
in a way that's healthy.
Yeah.
And I've had to do that too, because then what happens is I resent people when they're angry.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, dude, I'm not angry at you.
Yeah.
Like I've
Yeah.
learned to push down my anger for your, so I can people please you. So you shouldn't be angry at me. And it's that resentment of like, I feel like you're allowed to do something I'm not allowed to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I have to like learn to be okay being angry myself. Like it's okay that I'm upset at this, and like, okay, how do I manage my anger and process it and be like, okay, I can be angry, and okay, so they can also be angry. And right. So it's like being able to separate that emotional state from like, yeah. So that's been a learning, especially with my wife, because she like her, her moods are very different from mine. So I'd be like, man, why, just like, dude, I can't, like, this is every time she's maybe moody or mad, like, does it mean that I'm the cause of this? How do I manage this? And what's really helped is just accepting. Like, it's okay. All right, she's just, you're feeling this way. That's all right. I can support you, but it's not me. I'm not fixing you. I'm not here to fix your moods. Right, which I felt like I had to do as a people pleaser. Yeah. Like I had to fix her emotions.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, in the sense that like I think that's a primary mechanism that when acting out of people pleasing we attempt to do is we try to alter the emotional state. And that's where it gets really problematic. Like, it's like you can't like, one, don't do that. Two,
yeah.
don't do that.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah, and so I think learning how to allow people to have their moments, and that'd be all right. You're not responsible for that, right? And now again, like you don't have to gaslight it either, but like, hey, people can have their experiences and their emotions. They belong to them.
Yeah.
Right.
It's true. So yeah, so that's a big one for me. There's a book, so going back to like saying no, there's a book called The Art of Saying No. I think it was written by like a guy who like people pleased a lot. Nice. And he just gives you all these ways you can say no. In a way that's honest, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a good resource if anyone's looking for that.
Oh, that's great.
I was like, dude, like you can say no. Like there are many ways to say no.
Yeah. So probably there's a couple of books by Mark Manson.
Oh yes, Mark Manson.
He does some good work with being able to align yourself with how to not care.
Yes.
Right.
He does.
And so I would say look up Mark Manson.
Yeah.
If
he has a blog, and
he has a blog. Now podcasts. I will say like he, in my opinion, he reiterates pretty much everything that Viktor Frankl said in Man's Search for Meaning, but he does it in a much more colloquial term, like
just modern
language. If you don't want to get like deep and philosophical.
That's a good point. I never really like connected those dots. It is very much like existential.
He's 100% existential.
Yeah.
Whether he'll say it or not. Like that's his MO.
Orientation, yeah.
Yeah. He uses different language, more akin to like Alan Beck and everything like and so, but again, he's very existential. So that book was really helpful. Also, like I think Brene Brown did a lot of good work too in that. Like I said, I stole that
the list.
Yeah, I think that was a great. That's really a great
good
exercise that I still use to this day. But I think, lastly, too, it's interesting. I find that we were talking about Jesus, but I think also C.S. Lewis did a lot of really good work too. When he talked about the inner ring.
The inner ring.
Right? Have you ever?
C.S. Lewis? Yeah, I haven't read that part of.
So I'm trying to remember which book it's in. It's is it? No, it's not maybe it's The Abolition of Man. but effectively, he writes about the inner ring, and he also talks about, like, he gives an example of it in his space trilogy, in That Hideous Strength.
Oh, but the book I'm still on. I've taken forever to read it.
Such a good book, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Pearlander was fantastic too. Mm-hmm. But he essentially, it's this idea of, you know, how desperately people want to be in the in group, in the inner circle of something, right? So desperately in so many contexts that, like, the rings are built within systems and mechanisms, and he basically describes it in such a way that it's like, it's not that the rings disappear, they just put on different hats and look slightly different, right? Like, hey, maybe when you're a kid, it's like that group of kids that seems to be the popular kids, or like highly liked and valued if you're in that group. But then once you get into the workplace and workforce, it's like, no, the executive room, right?
C-suite,
the
committees,
like, these committees,
the board,
these boards. Like, if you can be there, right? Now we have a place of power. Now we have a place of influence. If you can be in that place, right? That's what you want to search after and be highly sought after. Mm-hmm. But first you have to be in that tier. And I think historically he also was talking about how, like, our society kind of indirectly tries to push on this idea. Well, we're going to create a committee for this thing, a group of people to decide this thing and that thing. And again, I'm not trying to downplay, like, all of these different entities and institutions. I'm not trying to suggest to burn the machine down. However, I think there's a lot of great risks associated with that too, when it comes to our own psyche and how much we feel the need to try to appease or sacrifice values on account of something else that really will not lend itself to our betterment as a human being.
Yeah. So in terms of, like, the pursuit of that,
for what?
For what?
Yeah. And in That Hideous Strength, essentially, that's like what it, like.
Ooh,
the end of the book, like, has this culmination to where it's like, basically the ring is destroyed. Like, it's like all the pieces kind of fall apart and are exposed and everything like that. But so it's he has some good things to say on that.
No, it's good. Inner ring.
Yeah.
That's now I need to read that book and finish it, because it's been sitting on my bedside table for a while.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, this went fast.
Yeah.
It's good.
People pleasing.
Yeah.
It's,
lots to say.
Lots to say there, I'm telling you.
So in the spirit of people pleasing, we hope you enjoyed this.
Yeah, please. Hope you're happy with this, and let us know. Don't let us know if you're not. Let us know.
And I don't care if you didn't like it.
Okay.
In the spirit of being a recovery people.
Yeah. It's like, whatever.
Keep your thoughts.
Take it or leave it.
Keep your thoughts to yourself.
That's right. Cool.
That's a wrap.
It's a wrap.